Hi, I'm Bob Gimlin. This is a photo of a gorilla named Binti, taken in the mid-90s. She is held at Brookfield Zoo in Illinois. Binti's indoor enclosure does not allow her to see the light of day. Binti had 3 children. They were all shipped off to other zoos for her to never see again. Zoos tend to guard this information, but Binti is likely a first or second generation animal in captivity, meaning either her or her mother were abducted from their natural habitat and taken to where they are currently held. This is Koko. She is versed in a version of American Sign Language. In 1983, she selected a kitten from a litter of abandoned cats. Unrelated to Koko, her kitten died later that same year. Koko was inconsolable, frantically signing bad, sad, bad, frown, cry, frown, sad, broken, torn. So Binti surely has resentment and sorrow. She had 3 babies taken from her. She doesn't see the light of day. She was probably taken from her mother too. She has the awareness and justification for resentment. So in 1996, when a young boy fell into the gorilla enclosure, Binti had her chance for revenge. She could have maimed the boy and separated him from his parents as had happened to her so many times before. But Binti picked up the boy and brought him to the staff entrance of her enclosure. Onlookers even noted that, just by the way Binti carried the boy, it was clear that she meant him no harm, and even had concern for him. Koko once accidentally broke her sink off the wall. Using sign language, she blamed it on the cat. So I would argue that Binti possessed the intellect to ransom the kid off for treats or some other personal gain. But she didn't. She took the most peaceful and compassionate route. And you could say Binti was just acting out of maternal instinct. I don't think so. This is Jambo. He is a silverback mountain gorilla. This is Jambo next to a 5-year-old boy who fell in his enclosure. Jambo did the same thing as Binti. He even shooed away curious onlooking gorillas, further protecting the boy. Believe it or not, this is a very peaceful animal. There is not one documentation of a gorilla killing a human, ever, not in the wild or captivity. And remember, not all incarcerated intelligent animals are so forgiving. Even chimpanzee, by far the most aggressive non-human primates, are surprisingly peaceful creatures. Dr. de Waal is a Dutch zoologist. In the 1970s, he watched 2 alpha male chimpanzee have a dispute over a mate. They charged and fought violently, but they didn't do any serious damage to each other, and the fight ended quickly. The 2 combatives went their separate ways, sulked for a little bit, but very quickly returned and embraced each other as old friends. De Waal was so impressed by this that he labeled the behavior as reconciliation, which almost sunk his young career, just because he had the nerve to use a human word in regard to non-human primates. But what else would you call it? Ironic how reconciliation may be a human word, but not one we often practice. When 2 human combatants face off, we rarely reconcile. There may be a winner and a loser, but the conflict tends to go on, and on, and on, and on. Of course, violence does occur in non-human primates. You can search chimp attack on Google, and you'll probably come up with a picture of this chimpanzee, Travis, and a picture of a lady who had her face sewed back on. But Travis was an obese chimp, living in a small cage. Travis was also kept drugged with a medical/recreational class of drugs known as benzodiazepines. Tolerance to benzo is built up very quickly, and unless his handler was giving him more and more every day, I suspect he was going through some kind of withdrawal, resulting in the attack. And it is worth noting that Travis was bludgeoned in the head by a shovel, stabbed in the abdomen with a butcher's knife, and shot 6 times at point-blank range by a standard-issue Glock before succumbing to his wounds several hours later. And Travis was not well. So this is just one of the many reasons that I am in no way, shape, or form surprised that a Bigfoot is yet to be killed. There is not one recorded incident of a gorilla killing a human, ever. Not in the wild or captivity. This is astounding and reflects an instinctual, and I would argue cultural, tendency toward peace. I'm not a hippie. I'm not all about peace and love. But in a strange way, I kinda think Bigfoot are. If they weren't a peace-oriented species, they would have been exterminated long ago. They are clearly smart enough to plan assaults, and large enough to inflict serious damage. But clearly they don't, or we would have had concrete evidence of them by now, because there would be casualties, on both sides. Don't get me wrong, people go missing in the forests all the time. And I think if you encountered a not-so-peaceful Bigfoot, you would have a tendency to go missing. But I think Bigfoot, like all primates, are determined to act aggressive in order to avoid being aggressive. They'll growl, bare their teeth, perform bluff charges, and throw rocks, and that may seem violent. But the point of these maneuvers is to appear violent without actually having to be violent. I think even our distant cousins understand that violence never ends well. So I think it is important to keep in the back of our head, when searching for these animals, that they are inherently peaceful. This is kind of my mantra when I'm in the woods at night. And I could be wrong. Do you think Bigfoot are peaceful? Or do you think that the people who experienced aggressive Bigfoot simply never lived to tell about it? I do want to mention upon reviewing this video, I come off as very anti-zoo. I didn't really mean to. Zoos play a tremendous role in wildlife conservation initiatives and endangered species survival programs. It is just a sad situation all around sometimes. Either way, that's what I think. Let me know what you think. Subscribe if you haven't already. Please feel free to share any of my videos. And thanks an awful lot for listening.